Hi everyone, welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Mina Crichton. I'm the narrator of this video clip and all my other video clips. Alright, before I get on to the topic that I feel I need to talk about today, we'll just start off with an introduction leading to the topics, and I'll try and keep this video clip short. Okay, so keeping in mind my situation has been a historical case of serious violent offences and been actually animated or inanimated according to the laws while I was working for my employer, or since I lost my privacy. In the beginning I didn't realise that was happening to me, although the incidents during the moment in between my journey, different things did take place, and I would hey, something's not right, and I was correct, but I was unaware that I was actually being animated or inanimated while I was going to work, at work, and going to church in my private life. So this is the consequences of home invasion, just through several different perpetrators and people turning my life into an illegal commonwealth, but it has caused an invasion of privacy and hostile takeover of everything, including my identity and my life, and other things that legally belong to me money-wise, and my assets and whatever I had. But it's been a downhill journey, and it's so easy for me to go backwards and undo everything. So keep in mind, it's a Commonwealth game. I didn't know this in the beginning, but that is what the evidence clearly shows on my personal profile. It is also money laundering, Game of Thrones of, people want to be superior over somebody or take over, kind of a game that it is global, and it is actually very serious. So we're actually dealing with serious violent offences or serious wrongdoing or misconduct, code of conducts by those in fiduciary duty. It's also from unlawful investigations done by people without a search warrant or for no real reason why they want to investigate our person. You're not really able to get a legal warrant unless you have some kind of suspicion that's legit or evidence to prove that, the investigator, whoever is behind it, can get a legal search warrant, or a judge will issue a search warrant. You can't just get a search warrant to do anything unlawful or just, invade somebody's private life without a good reason. Unfortunately, I believe that's what's taken place. It's just a lot of unlawful investigation, eventually getting out of hand, and people digging up my past without my permission, or there is definitely no grounds for even to do anything unlawful or have an investigation on me, because I haven't broken any laws, other than people just being nosy and taking advantage of somebody innocent. Unfortunately, the in-between moments that I've gone through by myself, it's silent, violent crimes, which means also silent deaths, it's an indirect psychological, psychopathic criminal offences. What makes it more serious and dangerous is it's global. I didn't know this, but I can confirm with sufficient evidence in the court of criminal law that my case has definitely been a criminal home invasion, psychopathic, psychological, indirect home invasion, just by the misuse of devices and the inanimating of myself by different people without a search warrant, and that the evidence clearly shows that on my file. There's definitely a shift and switch. It's like a twinning system. Words can't actually, describe how serious it is as time goes by. The public scrutiny, and the fact that it's global, I just don't realise, I don't think our government actually is taking on board how serious what everyone has done to me, or how serious the system is, and how it actually affects New Zealanders alone. But it is a global game, but every single law is broken, so it means what I've gone through can happen to anyone if you're working for the government or just being, at home, a civilian at home. Yes, I mean, they're subtle, they're cunning, and they're still doing it to me. And the freaky thing is, you don't know who it is. It could be any government official globally around the world, breaking serious laws just by hacking, misuse of devices. And because it's global, they are using satellite, one of those, where they can detect anyone around the world. So that's even more serious. But that actually allows whoever's controlling and manipulating anything to do what they're doing to me. It does cause division in your family, and the actual individual that is targeted ends up like losing everything, and you can actually end up losing your life or commit suicide or be homeless. 100% espionage has taken place. Because it's international and globally, if criminal barristers can actually prove home invasion, they can make all those countries accountable. And I believe that that's very easy to undo in my case, and actually to prove whether a conspiracy is on a specific group, or on a specific religion, or on a specific race, or on a specific group of people. Like genocide, that's quite serious. Anything like that historically in one profile. What I found and discovered in this new age system is that it's set out no survivors, and the whole idea of the game is there's no going back. Like, this is where I'm at. The case has gone criminal. So the disadvantages is that being a global game, they've coded people. So people from overseas are flying into our country just to commit the crime and leave the crime scene. And I know that's exactly what's been happening to me over the years. And yeah, it's that serious, and very unfair. But the penalty is 14 years imprisonment, even though there is everything's camera and surveillance everywhere public. They can still find out who's behind it, because people just don't go downhill financially for no reason. And I can actually prove that my reasoning has not been my own fault, other than other people are controlling and manipulating my set of circumstances and watching my bank account. This whole system is designed to actually take down victims after they're being used. So anyone can be trafficked. There's different types of trafficking, but this modern day new age trafficking ring does involve everybody in government, globally, and public, in the public, people in public. So, and it does turn it causes division. Family members are being used, or the laws are used to stop them from interacting or talking to you. But definitely division takes place, and it's pretty cruel. And to what from my personal experience, emotional abuse takes place indirectly, and also just the fact whoever's behind it are watching your emotions, and as soon as something good happens, they steal it, break it up, or they try and break a bond, or cause division within your private life, and just basically try and control the individual. So basically, it is called like Cold War allies, ascertaining, and for those that are investigating, they're basically trying to ascertain the truth, and and for those that is being used for trafficking, and you do feel isolated eventually, or locked out. And I have found, just listening to the radio, I found that just listening to the radio, that they are actually inciting the game on the radio and on TV of the actual individuals that are the original. So that makes it even more serious. It's like, a best way to describe it for those who does racing, when you go racing and you go and make a bet and watch the horses run or dogs run around on a racing. It's that kind of thing. Okay, that's what they've used me, and Henry, and and who else? Pastor King, when I was going to church, but we didn't know. But now, like, everything for me, it just makes sense what I was going through in the earlier days, and to this year, the revelation of the evidence has finally surfaced, and there's definitely hardcore evidence to prove what this global game entails, and it is the most serious kind of a system known to mankind. Okay, so you are either a innocent civilian. Okay, so an innocent civilians usually are like an adult, children, a vulnerable adult, like someone innocent, so you're either that, or you are the offender. You can't be both, and that includes working for the government. You're either the victim or the offender. You cannot be both. But any crimes intentionally engaging, any groups of people engaging in that kind of a secret society, to take over or hurt or anything criminal on any civilians, by law, it is, if they get caught and there's sufficient evidence, the penalty is 10 years imprisonment. So if you work for the government, you need to know the difference and why you're actually in your position. You're meant to, protect innocent civilians. You're not there for yourself, and the laws are what you have to abide to. So it's best to know that you know the laws, so you know your boundaries and why you're at work, and learning to separate your work, your beliefs, and whatever it is in your private life, separate that with your job. You can't, the laws are black and white. It clearly, they're there to protect everyone. So we're dealing with meaning of serious wrongdoing. So this is what it's called in the legislation. I've got some of this in some of my video clips, but I just thought, because of the topic, I might as well just, direct you guys to it. So serious risks to public health, public safety, the health and safety of any individual or the environment, or a serious risk to maintenance of law, including the prevention, investigation, detection of offences, or a right for a fair trial. This is like using the court system, and anything unlawful, corrupt, or irregular use of public funds or public resources. Okay. So our laws clearly has the people who are responsible to investigate. Unfortunately, I've tried the system. I've actually exhausted the system, and they haven't worked for me, which is a very serious thing. Hence is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing publicly. And I guess it's everybody benefits from it, but keep in mind it's global. Everything that I've gone through has been global, which is really, really serious. So anything I've gone through after the fact is, so anyone who is called out, accessory after the fact, you become an offender, whether you work for the government or you're a public member. So if you're sabotaging an individual, that's a crime. If you're stopping them from using the justice system, or you refuse to use your public office to do your job to protect a civilian, if there's sufficient evidence, it's 10 years imprisonment. So the people that actually affects those in government would be those in judiciary corruption. It's 14 years imprisonment, and a court deputy registrar or deputy registrar, because there's different types of registrars. I was a deputy registrar for 13 and a half years, but I've worked for the government for a total of 17 and a half years. Yep, the laws very clearly describes anyone in government, even our Prime Minister or anyone in Crown. If you caught up in corruption, this year says 14 years. But you guys just keep in mind the game is global, so this also applies. Well, this law applied mainly for New Zealand, but if other officials around the world get caught, and they have their system where they get dealt with privately. So anyone in Parliament, they can, if they get caught, there are criminal offences that is involved. This is corruption of bribery of official. That's anybody. This includes the police, anybody with power of authority. This one here would be more for the overseas people, foreign public officials, and also trading in influence. By law, you're not meant to actually be trading in influence. This includes the court deputy registrars and also the judge. The system I'm used to, that we're not like when I was a court case managing court cases. My job was only just to fill in the judge with all the evidence and the information of a case, and that's it. But you're not meant to kind of influence the judge in anything in any way, and most judges know that. But yeah, so there's definite separation. But if you are trading in influence, I mean, if government officials are sharing information and all talking about it, and what fairness is that to a case? But they used to have real strict rules about that. The old system, what's been happening with me, with what I found out, would never ever happen. But I have found out in my case there's been a lot of that. And plus, given the long time, I'm no secret to anyone, okay? So this is for me to actually putting my case, or the puzzle, sorry, the puzzles of my case together. It's actually really easy for me to do because it's my personal journey, and me actually making the facts in my court cases come live, which makes it quite serious, and you'll find that everything I say is 100% accurate, and it couldn't be challenged because it is my truth and my journey. Okay. But if people are trading in influence, it's 7 years imprisonment. Okay, so I've been dealing with denouncing other relationships. I've been keeping my eye on social media. I can just tell exactly what's going on just from watching it. I'm still denouncing Amy Denton and Natalie Vasquiso. They're taking, they've been my opposing allies, and they've been secretly conspiring with other people globally to take me down. It's been an unfair battle, and I have found it really frustrating. There's very serious indictable charges in my case, psychological abuse, and just watching, using me, and then interference. Okay, there's clear interference in everything that both Henry Cavill and I have gone through. But there's sufficient evidence to prove organised crime and conspiracy by secret societies. So, you know, when there is warlike secret societies doing what they're doing, they're always conspiring, and I can just tell by listening to the media and social media, radio and television, exactly what's going on. But there's definitely riotous damage going on. There's been clear damage of my property, which is my court cases, anything to do with my personal profile, and they've deleted a lot of things, or they've done falsified evidence, or they have self-developed documents too. Like, you know, I've seen documents on my document. I was like, where did that come from? If I say I did this and this and that, I did do this and that. And when I go in and I've found documents, somebody has, you know, used the government's property and then to falsify evidence and then put it in my documents. That's how bad it is. I've come across documents like that. So they've actually damaged my, not only my reputation, but my property, which is my personal profile. That is what I am opposing with my court cases, and that's quite clear. So with the sabotaging, it's conspiracy, conspiring to defeat justice. That's 7 years imprisonment. So all this kind of comes aligned with an individual's court case. So I'm actually an individual. So this here actually refers to those in public office, you know, whether it be they've refused to do proper medical treatment on a patient, or has been reckless or negligence. This here refers to them. It's referred as a person doing dangerous acts. So if they refuse to do anything or just being negligent, they've broken the law. And because I mentioned animate or inanimate, that's here in the Crimes Act. You can't find this anywhere else. You can find this in the Crimes Act 1961. It's the only place. I didn't even know what that meant. I actually recall reading it when I was doing court and started just going through the legislation. I thought, what the heck does that mean when I first saw it? Now I know what it means because they've done it to me. So all the indirect injury, indirect abuse, it's intentional. All those laws come in place. Also comes by injuring by unlawful act. So any act psychologically, indirectly or directly, whatever it may be, it's 3 years imprisonment. But that can accumulate if you've done other serious cases linking to one case. That's an additional on top of. That's how it works. There's definitely like aggravated wounding or injuring someone. They've injured me. They're more psychologically. I've gone through mental anguish. I've gone through there has been definitely mental injury where they've really made me suffer. And so my case is quite serious, especially for the length of time they did it for. And this is like 14 years imprisonment for the co-offenders or the defendants. Also, I was talking about the vulnerable adult. So, you know, that's the whole purpose of a government is to protect innocent civilians and the public welfare. That's 17 years imprisonment. So I'm legally, by law, I have always been the victim. I haven't broken any laws other than people digging up my past and trying to find dirt and or they've picked up my past, dig up my past and interpret it incorrectly, and so I'm just setting the record straight. Then it just clearly shows that a lot of very serious unlawful things have taken place upon myself. But according to the law, and Henry and I, and even Pastor King at that point of time, going backwards, is the victim. Okay. So if you're not using your job to intervene or to help somebody vulnerable, you're actually breaking the law. Okay, just so for those who don't know, but agents, okay, so whoever's doing the controlling, manipulating around the world, it can be found out. I know all your secrets. I know how it's done. And so it's easy to undo. What I have found concerning is the committing of the crime, leaving the crime scene and deleting. So then you think it's not going to point to you. But it is actually $1 million for the agents, for riotous control agents. So it's been so bad for me. Okay, so obviously the relationship scam, I've been subject to that without my consent. It's a very insulting, degrading, disgusting, inhumane system. I've had these women, the agents are using them. Okay, I've had them ring me, okay, and their agents are in my space on behalf of these women around the world. That's why when I tell the police something, they're actually on their side. And so this is disgusting. This is my personal experience, which means Amy Denton, Natalie Viskiso, Moana, and Chai, that Asian female, and Echo. I have a reason to believe, Echo worked for the police, and Chai, I have a reason to believe that she actually worked for the police too. So it's been internal corruption. The fact that these women are even doing that, that's serious, but that puts their company, like the New Zealand police, in serious disrepute. And because that's not why people have a job for. They're not there to find themselves a good-looking man or, prostitute themselves. Sorry, I'm angry because it's gone on for so long and I'm still going through it. But the people that are in my space, I can confirm that it's these women, okay? That's quite serious what yous are doing. And then I have all the public personally attacking me, trying, to make me commit suicide. Or I'll go out public and the public are mocking me indirectly with their pictures on the buses and painting. I know exactly they're talking about me. But I was actually, hang on a moment. Okay, so I was actually watching this. I was doing a bit of research, but this is the best way to describe what they're doing to me and what they're doing to Henry personally, okay? Henry doesn't, I know a lot of people don't understand the situation. I mean, I didn't understand his situation or even the culture of what he's subject to. But it's very much like what I've been subject to, just a different kind of a culture. And a lot of it, he's definitely civilian and he doesn't know his rights or his legal rights, let alone he's not strong enough to, it's just the culture is what I have discovered. But this is what they have done to me personally. This is quite serious. It's a slow downhill of killing an individual. But all the tactics that they've done to this, September 11th, that is what they're doing to me and still doing to me. They're using my family against me. Division took place a long time ago. And sometimes when they're listening and recording and then they're tipping off the public. And they're also trying to create family violence. They're trying to create so they can point the finger. Well, every single family has arguments. Every single family have their issues, but that is their private business. Okay, that's why espionage is illegal. But I have found that is what they've done. They're trying to shift the blame on somebody, but it's not the real reason why the person is, the real hardcore reason of anything that's going on in their life. But that's why espionage is illegal. But this is what the other cultures and other religions, or those with psychopathic fetish inclinations and is mentally impaired totally, that is what they're actually doing behind the cameras, spying, listening, recording. But these women are linked to these secret societies. Okay, I mean, they've got the upper hand. They've studied me for years, and they've just taken turn. And it's really disgusting what they're doing. And me watching TV, and I can actually tell they're talking about me or talking about Henry, and just tipping off the public. Like I described to you guys before, it's like they're going horse riding, but they're using us for money laundering. And they are they're threatening Henry's life. Things are being really difficult for him. And we both didn't know that he was in a very serious situation. There's just, a lot of reasoning why I believe God allowed our relationship to be how it's been. So I'm just going with that. But this here, September 11, is exactly what happened to me, and that my personal profile can actually prove that. So how is a normal way of actually solving it? But the normal way of solving it is when a criminal barrister takes over, they have to actually dig up everything. They have to undo going backwards, because there's clear evidence that they've used me historically. They've there's a pause, and then they start again. And some of the things I've gone through, I've struggled with the mental abuse, the flashbacks and stuff I've gone through, and I'm just like in shock sometimes. I think, did I really go through that? And I did actually go through that. So if you can hear in my voice, I get quite upset. It's because they are still at it, even today. So I am denouncing those women in social media, okay? So the laws that I've just showed will apply to you guys legally by law, so never say never, because no one's above the law, but I'm telling you, you guys are breaking the law, okay? I don't know who's behind this game, but it is what you call conspiracy. So this is what they've done to me historically, and that's quite clear too, and easy to prove in my court case. They've stolen my intellectual property, they've stolen the character, even my voice over the years. They've just, stolen everything about me and pretending that I'm either, Asian, Tongan, or Indian. And I'm not racist, guys. I'm the victim, so I have to describe in the moment while I'm going through, this could happen to you too. Okay, but I didn't know all this in the beginning. I did know about the relationship scam, but now I know why the laws were drafted up by intelligent men and women in the first place, and why criminal laws are more important than civil laws, for the very reason, with what I've gone through, to stop home invasion, especially indirect ones. The system, it actually means the system's, it's actually diverted, which is the worst kind of system, because it's internal corruption linking themselves to the gangs. So, and people are, and then it becomes a commonwealth because all they need to do is tip off their people and they'll do the damage. So if you guys watch that program Avatar, that's exactly what they are doing. So my case is a left behind case, but I've won. I'm a winner, and I know I've won everything because I've left sufficient evidence. If you don't know that story of Hansel and Gretel, where their father took them out to the forest and went to leave them, and he would drop, pebbles or stones, so he could find his way home. That's exactly what I've done, basically, legally. Yes, they've deleted a lot of stuff, but it's still easy to undo. But once this year's pretty good to just let you know, a left behind case, once they've studied you and your family, they can always come back at any time. You can be targeted at any time, and anything can happen, to you and your family or your business. Yeah, so it's a very, 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 very serious case, especially involving global people. They are also using your immediate family. I know my children are being used against me. I've known that for a very long time. And a lot of it is because they're oblivious. Sometimes people don't even know they're being used. But I have known. That's why I broke up my kids. I broke up my home in 2010 because I knew they were being used. I knew that people, I didn't want them to be contaminated by the enemy. That's why I broke up, split my home, and decided to go solo in 2010. And that's easy to prove. Okay, so because I'm a Christian and, all this kind of started from the church really, and all, yeah, both, but mainly work, but they've linked themselves, and then eventually, when you get away from God, that's what happens when people, in leadership or in government, get away from why they were even in their jobs in the first place and start, by gossiping and linking themselves to people's private life, even to a church. A church is considered vulnerable people, okay? These people are innocent, regardless what their religion is or whatever it is, their belief. They are meant to be protected by the government, and they are the first person to actually, they're supposed to protect, hence is the reason why I put in a protected disclosure. But some people, they don't actually understand how serious a breach is because, and some probably won't even do it because, to them they just don't care. But that is why we have laws, and that's why, the government is meant to protect the innocent civilians. So even though I went to church and I work for the government, I tried to protect it back then because I just saw how serious it was, and I've even the Bible actually talks about privacy breaches, and that's why privacy laws are meant to be, the first foremost important law. Over anything else, especially now we've got, espionage globally. It's quite clear, it's very easy. The people that they're actually attacking are vulnerable people who don't understand the law, people who, they don't know their legal rights. No matter what religion they're doing, they're still, they would be classified as vulnerable adults. All right. So that is why I put in a protected disclosure back in 2010, and I just knew what I was going through was serious. Did I bring anything on myself? No, I do not believe. I believe I acted out of whatever it is I was moved to do. I know I can't say too much about it, but yeah, and yeah, I don't regret anything. Basically, I did try to stop it from accumulating and other religions taking over Church of Christ, or other people, turn it into a cult, because that used to be a Holy Spirit church, because I grew up in there. And that's what happens from a privacy breach. So eventually, the system had turned into a cult. I'm talking about the government system. It is now. And so it's very hard to actually ascertain or discern what kind of people behind the keyboard or behind the phone, whether they even work for the government, because everything's global. And I've had these women's alliances, be rude and, just being really bad on the phone or mockery. But they are linked to these women and the relationship scam, which I find really insulting. The other danger I find is our phones now, our people's mobile phones. I don't know if it's accessible to actually track these phone calls if the mobiles, no longer is in use. Where the old phones that was in use, landlines, they're always intact. That was always the government always had access to that. But these mobiles, people are doing acts of tourism, the relationship scams, stealing. And they're stealing because they're actually quite confident that they're going to get away with it, but it's still a crime. So I'll just carry on. So I like to use the bus description, how the double-decker bus, this is what happens. And believe it or not, I've actually gone on a bus, and the bus drivers are all in it. And they're doing this, like they're being together, like literally you guys would not believe what I've witnessed while I have to use public transport. It's actually safer than going in a car, because when I was driving to work and everything, people are using their car. Okay, they're using their car. That's how serious it is, and it's a global game. So I was like, I can't believe this is happening to New Zealand. But the people that are animating me are in my space, switch, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, they're doing the same with my documents, with my court file, even when I use the mail. So what I'm going through could be happening to you. But when it comes to my court cases, I've mostly done everything personally myself. The danger of doing not having evidence, people die. But I've always done everything myself. I'm pretty super independent. I've always been self-sufficient, and yeah. So spiritually, for those that are a Christian, I found this verse here to actually, because I've had the opposing allies actually come out in buses. First, that last photo I showed you where it said Bloodthirsty, okay, they did that one night when I was travelling home. And then just the other day, they put Bloodthirst and drove past the road. I knew they were doing it to me. But then I found this verse here the other day in the Bible, because I thought I'd just, look up. Don't forget, the Bible is more of a spiritual thing. It's not just a book, but without the Holy Spirit. And everyone's got the Holy Spirit in them if you really believe in it, but you've got to go through the process of being a born-again Christian first. But this is the verse that I actually found that I felt was applicable, and I felt, oh my gosh, now everything makes sense why I had to be a witness to the system. Like, I really felt God had really used me, even though I didn't know it, but I was a learning process all the time. And these are the kind of verses are quite serious spiritually speaking. because you've got the opposing allies, because the Bible even talks about opposing allies. It teaches us how to handle opposing allies, and we're not meant to be just doormats and ignore it. We're meant to actually use the armor of God and God's wisdom to fight back. We're not doormats. So and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm fighting back the normal way like anybody else. But this here is verse, there's two of them actually, but this one I felt was appropriate to use because it really describes spiritually what God was showing me and wanted to learn. But it talks about bloodthirsty, like you shall destroy those who speak falsehood. So those that are lying, okay, pretending. Integrity is either yes or no, unfortunately, in any generation. This New Age system is modernizing the laws to allow this to happen. But unfortunately, when a corruption takes place, this happens. Bloodthirsty, okay? And the Bible clearly speaks, we all know, for those that believe that there is a God, that, God actually harbors the bloodthirsty and deceitful man. So I know I'm being personally attacked because, spiritually, those that hate the truth or find me a threat for whatever reason. There's a lot of reasons why, bad alliances do, they attract each other and they feed off each other's wounds, and but this is the opposing allies. The Bible is actually talking about is this system. It's where it's unmerciful, it's killing innocent civilians, they're stealing off them, the government is corrupt, and even how this whole system, with my court case, it should be actually in the court, handled by a judge, not in front of a city. Like I feel like it's in front of government, and they're all making decisions on me. Hence why all these secret societies are doing what they're doing secretly, using their family, their friends, gang members to do what they're doing. That shouldn't be even happening, but I believe that's what's been happening. But it's also invited people globally, and it's a sport, okay? But it involves people being a puppet. So I hope you get the understanding of organised crime, how scary it is and dangerous it is. That people can actually groom you, and then actually groom you to a plot, whether the plot is death or the plot you end up homeless and losing everything, I believe. The other danger is if you don't do what they want, their intent is to eliminate you forever. Okay? So there you go. So for those that are, it's too dangerous to be just religious. And also Church of Christ, I believe, also was a bit of a left behind church. Good citizen not wanting to change. But the world was changing, and the world is changing, and it will keep on changing with or without us. The danger of it is if you don't know how to protect yourself, protect your family and your friends, and the government's changing and they're not doing their bit, that is the danger of being left behind. And refusing to change with the world. Okay. So this is what's happened to me. No consent. I'm the victim of crimes, personal victimization, deviation, animation, suicidal pact, criminal pact, you name it. All negative. Okay. So once again, I've been stuck in a love triangle. So I am denouncing Amy Denton starting up again, saying she's Henry Cavill's boyfriend, which is a whole lot of lies. And I think you're very unwell, girl, and the people that's supporting you. and also Natalie Visciso. She's just using him and trying to steal off him. I'm denouncing news, and I'll leave the rest up to God. And because I'm trying to protect our innocent man, and he's definitely is. So yeah, I'm also denouncing it because I know people in New Zealand are watching the social media. But that is what you call conspiracy. So you don't know who is grooming these women, and they're actually making up their own lies, and they're trying to denounce me. They're trying to make out I'm the crazy one. But this is what the danger of this scientific experiment that the government is liable for doing it on me and for every other crimes that's taken place involving me. Because the whole idea is of the scientific experiment they did on me was to study my mind and then eventually steal. Everything is diverted to a different culture or different. So this is how it involves. I've also noticed that they can animate a whole family. Okay, they can that is what they're doing. And they're just using the first names of the family, but it's not actually them. And everything is premeditated after that. Okay, so this here is Henry and myself. We're close and we'll always be close, but I am denouncing all those other women. Okay, we both don't do the people vote thing, so we're actually very much alike in personality. Even though we've got a different background and everything else, personality wise, we're actually very, very much alike. I want to just quickly go over this here, killing of a child. I think this is a really important topic. Just bear with me, I just need to find it. I've got it up on Facebook, so just hold on a moment, I'll just get there. All right, here. My own discovery, what I found, how these other, I don't know who's behind what I've gone through, but doctors are actually whether they don't know the laws in New Zealand, but in New Zealand or in the Crimes Act, I'm quite sure this act is probably in most countries. But actually killing an unborn child is 14 years imprisonment. A lot of religions and a lot of cultures and races do not believe, I don't know, they have their beliefs. But as a Christian, to actually have an abortion is against God's law, okay? I mean, I'm against abortion regardless, okay? And I know there's a lot of Christians like me, but murder is murder. But in the laws, to kill an unborn child is 14 years imprisonment. Okay, because I know some cultures are actually trying to control how many children people have. So you've got to be careful, even with the medications that they describe or prescribe for you. You don't know what it is. They may be trying to sterilize you or anything like that. I hate medications myself. I've always micromanaged my own health, and I'd rather die naturally than my health getting caused by things that are not normal or natural. But that's my belief, and that's what I believe in. But for those that don't realize it, if you're a Christian, if you have an abortion, it is illegal, and according to the laws, is 14 years imprisonment. So you can actually exercise your right, your Bill of Rights, and say no. If you don't want to do what the doctor said, say, because I know sometimes, they talk kindly, but they're actually quite forceful. Things like that, I've gone through that, and I've had the advantage of knowing my laws, and I'm very assertive, and I don't have a problem of saying no if I know my laws and my rights. That's why it's important to know your Bill of Rights. But for things like that, people just go along with it because they don't know their rights. Okay, but to kill an unborn child is 14 years imprisonment, and I think if you have an abortion, you have to be. It used to be 12 weeks, now it's 14 weeks they allow it. Anything after that, the doctor or the hospital can be made liable after the fact, because that's what the old system used to do. The criminal barristers would do their audit. The doctors in the hospital can be charged for this kind of a charge if they've broken the laws. Okay, and the mother that actually done the abortion. So even if you've done it without knowing these laws, they can investigate in the hospital, or the man or woman doctor that did it can still be charged for this charge. And I really feel in my heart this is what I'm meant to be doing. So in cases like where the doctors knew, where the plaintiff or the victim has been telling them, and the courts know, and everybody involving the file know, you're all made criminally responsible if the victim is telling the truth and you've written unlawful strikes. All right. So yeah, and the Crown is not exempt from being charged. The state is not. No one is exempt from being charged of serious criminal charges. So yeah, we're going. I'm pretty old school, but I'm not actually old school. You'll find that the actual top-notch criminal judges and barristers are just like me. Okay, they think like me, they understand me, and they know I wouldn't be crying wolf. So here, this here, I just thought it was good. I'll finish off with this piece of the legislation. If you look here, it talks about abortion services. Like they can be, clearly says here that they can be committed an offence, liable. Or this one here says 5 years, but it kind of depends what it is. Like can be on top of another file, on top of another charge. But that's how charges are laid by those in authority if they do an audit. It's accumulated. So I'm quite shocked people are playing games with their jobs and self-sacrificing them to help somebody else. But little do they know that they actually stand before the judge alone, and then they lose their job or could go to prison alone. So it's just not worth it. So here, there's just this piece here just to prove what I'm saying, that even the mother can get charged for breaking the law. It says right here, the woman is not guilty of an offence under this section. So only under this section, they're not guilty, but these people are here. But I'm just saying, I thought I'll just articulate or just focus on the meaning of the laws and to know your rights. If doctors try and convince you, get a second opinion. Okay, I am against abortion because of my belief, and I would never do it. But if anything happened to the mother and the unborn child, then that makes the government or whoever is involved or knew about it and didn't do anything about it are liable for murder or double manslaughter or whatever. So I think I'll finish it there. So at this stage, I have pressed criminal charges against the Ministry of Health and City Med. And I will be pressing charges with the Ministry of Justice and what else? Who else? No, so far the Independent Code of Conduct, the police, that's still in the civil. I'm still waiting for that in order to be done, and the Public Service Association, I'm waiting for an order to be done on that one. And I'm just trying to think there's a total of 6 cases, of course. Yeah, So that's the update with my cases. But they are all unlawful strikes, meaning everything that they have written about me is fraud. So I'm denouncing the relationship scam. Okay, everyone, don't listen to anything I've written on my page. I've updated everyone. I'm on there consistently. And I know a lot of people actually enjoy my videos, but I just believe I'm supposed to be doing this for everyone. Just it's common knowledge, like just to know the basics helps you make the right decision, especially from someone that wouldn't be mucking around, or with a serious mindset like mine. We all have our personality, or we all have a purpose in this life, and I believe I'm fulfilling mine for me. Unfortunately, reality is my case is definitely crimes against humanity because it's global. So I'm just doing my bit and I'll leave the rest to God. So thanks everyone, I'll leave it at that, and I try and be consistent with my video clips. I just go as I'm moved to.